Our next guest is a name almost every single Terp fan knows right now. He's going to be joining campus next semester, and we are just so happy to have on to finish this season of Under the Shell quarterback Malik Washington. Malik, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for having me.
Awesome. Well, I want to start it back a few years ago. That behind the back pass you had. Do you feel like you kind of started that behind the back pass? You're the creator of it,
Uh, yeah,
Holmes.
it was just something we kind of thought of. Like we ran it in the summer, like the play. And the play was just a regular shovel pass, but messing around, having fun with it. I was like, what if I just throw it behind my back? And we ran it like all year throughout like our must-have periods. We finally got to the game, and we needed a 2-point play. And when coach called the play, he just looked at me and started shaking his head because he knew I was going to do it. So we did it, completed it, and it was there.
So was that play drawn up as a behind the back pass, or was that improv? Some improv from you?
It was a little bit of improv, but like I had worked the behind the back all year, so it's supposed to be like just a regular shovel pass, but I just added a little twist to it.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, you guys have dominated now, Spalding. For you guys to have this type of 3-year run, um, how much do you feel like it cemented yourself, not only in terms of a Maryland prospect, but one of the better, high school quarterbacks to come through Maryland?
Yeah, I think my team has been a huge help to get me to where I am now. I couldn't have done it without them. The defense stepping up and making plays to give me short fields, allowing for easy scoring drives, or special teams flipping the field. Allowing us to just play freely. Because I knew that all times like my team had my back, and that just helped me with confidence and trust, and let me go out there and play.
Another, Baltimore powerhouse, St. Francis, one of their just committed, Zion Elee, number 2 prospect in the country. I saw you had a little FaceTime with him. He obviously was pretty psyched. Kind of what did you guys talk about on the call, and how cool is it for you to see that happen? Like, what was your reaction to kind of him, pledging to play Maryland?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Like we talked so much about having the local talent stay home, and I think 24 class had got it going a little bit. My class picked it up even more, and I think this 26 class is gonna elevate that even higher. With Zion coming in, and we got some other guys that are in the works. And on the FaceTime call, I really just welcomed him. Like I let him know, like if you ever need anything, he could reach out to me. Whether it was questions about the team or about the program, like things that I might know that he doesn't know yet. Um, of course, I don't know that much because I'm not there yet, but just having like building that line of connection now because we're all one family at the end of the day.
A couple months ago, he didn't list Maryland in his top 5 schools that he was going to pick from. Then on Saturday, he kind of shocks the whole recruiting landscape, picks Maryland. Was that much of a surprise to you, or were you making some phone calls behind the scenes, doing some recruiting to kind of get him on board?
I mean, no, that surprised me. The most I really talked to him was at the USC game, and then after the fact is when he named those schools off. And like I understood, like he hasn't been around that much, so he might not know what we have to offer as a team. But like seeing that, like it just kind of gave me hope that like this 26 class can be something special, just like the 25 class was, and maybe people are finally starting to listen and realize that like if we were to keep all of our talent home, like how good we could be.
You kind of had a not unusual rise, but you really rocketed in the quarterback rankings after the Elite 11 camp. Prior to that, where was your recruitment at? Were you kind of always thinking Maryland, or once those other offers started to come in, did you almost have to reconsider? Because I mean, prior to that, I don't really remember. I mean, I know Oregon and Penn State offered you eventually, but it wasn't like this, like what you would normally see from a high 4-star, 5-star quarterback.
Yeah, my recruitment like early freshman year, like going into freshman year is when Maryland had reached out, Penn State had reached out, and Virginia Tech, like they all offered me my freshman year. And then from there, it kind of slowed down for a little bit until I had like a big boom sophomore year with a couple schools coming around. But before the Elite 11, like I was coming down to making a decision. And then after the Elite 11 is when I went to my OV on Maryland. And after my OV, I kind of knew already that I wanted to be a Terp. So that's really kind of when it boiled down for me.
What was the best story you have from an official visit? Because I feel like they've changed now, right? Before it used to be like they brought out the cars and like all these crazy photo shoots, but with NIL now, it's kind of just like, all right, like, I can get that money when I get to college. What was the best story you had from a visit, or that visit in particular?
Probably when we were on the boat and we did like karaoke. I think that was actually really fun. It like let people see a different side of us players. Like we're not just football players in the day, but we're also people. We're young men. So we got out there, saying whatever, embarrassed ourselves, and had a good time.
What do you remember about the Elite 11? Were you just kind of like dialed in that whole week? Was there a certain like technical change you had made that, because I mean, I remember even like Brett Coleman, who I followed, like tweeted about you, was kind of like, hey, this kid, like, he's something serious. Like, what do you remember about that camp, and how much of in a groove were you?
Really, I went in there like with one goal in mind, and it was to win. But I also had like a side goal, and it was to build as many relationships as possible. So I went in there, I spoke to everybody, asked people their names, where they're from, like how they got to be here, where they are now. Not just the quarterbacks, but the coaches working the event, the staff working the event, and I met a lot of interesting people. I met the CEO of the Dolphins. I met guys that are heads at Meta, guys that run Max Preps. Like I talked to a bunch of people out there just building relationships, and I took in every piece of information I could get. Like I have a notebook full of stuff that I had written down from from team meetings to interacting with different people, or not team meetings, from like meetings with everybody together, and then talking with different people one on one, just asking questions, because you feel like you really only get that experience one time. So I just made the best of it.
Do you like hold yourself as, I know a lot of quarterbacks, like, they like to say, like, they look at, like, how do I stack up with other guys? Like, you're always holding yourself to that kind of standard. Are you that type of player? Would you say you kind of like, hey, I want to prove that I'm the best, like, and you're kind of paying attention, or is it blinders on, not really looking at other guys?
It's kind of 50-50. Like of course I always feel like I'm the best player in the country at all times, because that's just the confidence that I have in myself. And I do like to see how I stack up. So when I went out there, I wanted to see how I stacked up with some of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I realized like we're all really on the same level. There's like it's not too much of a gap between everybody that was out there. They're all great quarterbacks. So it's like now you have to find ways to be different than everybody else. And that's when I kind of hone in on myself and focus on how can I be different from everybody else, and how can I improve my game in a different way.
Malik, this season at Spalding, just kind of looking at the numbers, you rushed the least that you ever had in high school, and then you also threw the most passes that you ever had. Um, was that sort of because you wanted to protect your body running the ball, or was that more just like you guys having more trust in your arm and wanting to attack through the air a little bit more?
I think it was a not even really so much of my body, but our running backs were having a great season. They both almost rushed for 1,000 yards each. So it's we gave them the ball when we needed it on those critical downs. I didn't have to really do anything myself. And then when I did run, it was running for scrambling for explosives. So it wasn't like I'm running the ball 5-6 times a drive. It's maybe a run here and there every 2 drives, but and then, of course, like throwing the ball, most of our runs had, passes tagged on to them. So I was able to play freely, take my access. And of course, coach trusts me. And because he trusts me, it allows me to go out there and play freely.
When you're in the pocket, like at what point do you decide, all right, I'm going to scramble here? Because there were some scrambles in that championship game against McDonough where it felt like anytime you would take off, you would gain yards, especially that touchdown. I believe it was in the first quarter. You broke a couple tackles into the end zone. At what point do you decide, all right, I'm going to run here?
Well, that touchdown was the design run. It was a draw. So I kind of had no choice on that one but to run. But really, I feel like it's just a feel. Like it's not even really a way to describe it, but it's like I'm dropping back, I'm looking, and maybe they played the right coverage for the play that we ran. Like it's a broken play. Like it's not going to work out. And then it's like, all right, now it's time for me to make a play with my legs and see what I can open up downfield. Or I'm going through it and I'm reading it and somebody runs the wrong route, or we mess up, or I look in the wrong place, and then it's like, all right, now we just got to be a playmaker and go make a play.
Schmidt told us that you guys run a lot of option, obviously, some RPO. What would you describe as your offense? Are you guys, more of a one read offense? Do you have multiple layers, like multiple reads in a passing concept? Like, where do you kind of think Spalding's offense stacks up compared to maybe Maryland's and other programs?
Well, one, we're super high up tempo. We're super up tempo. I think that's where we get a big advantage from, is being so up tempo, because you can't really practice against tempo until you get into the game and play against it. So I think that helps us a lot. And as far as like our passing game goes, like coach puts a lot of trust on me. So I'll go through my progressions, like pre snap, post snap reads, confirmations, like IDing my keys, like knowing who's my movement player, and like base my reads off of that. So it depends on the play concept we have on, but it's college like. I think coach kind of bases our program and like how we run our stuff like a college. So when I talk with Coach Locks on Sundays, we went over film and things like that. It would be a lot of the same stuff, just different terminology.
Are you setting your own protection, or is that your center's job?
So I'll set it, and then he'll set it, and then I can adjust it. But we'll come up to the line, I'll call it, and then he can, if he sees something, he can squeeze it and tell it back to stay in, or little things like that. Or if I see pressure coming from the opposite of my slide, then I can slide my line to the pressure. little things like that. But it's not too much on my plate protection wise. Just because in high school you don't see a lot of exotic, blitzes or anything like that. So it's kind of simple.
At the time of that championship game against McDonough, there were some rumors swirling around online that other schools may be sniffing around you, namely Michigan. You always said that you were going to stay true to your commitment at Maryland, and you did. But when other schools are reaching out, like, what is that process like? Are they reaching out to your coach? Are they reaching out to you and your family? And what are you saying? Just like, no, I'm staying firm on Maryland. Just what are those conversations like?
I mean, they reach out. They most time they reach out to me just because that's probably the easiest way to get to me is just call me up myself. So they or I had previous connections with them and they'll call me and they'll ask me how I'm feeling about my recruitment and has anything changed or anything like that. And I'm honest with them, completely honest. Like I feel good about recruitment. I feel good where I'm at. Like I appreciate the call, coach. I'm never one to like burn a bridge and be like, nah, I don't want to talk to you. Like I'll always be open to a conversation, but I'm going to be honest with you and let you know how I feel. And I feel like I'm good in my recruitment. I know where I want to be at. This is my home. So thank you, coach, for the opportunity, but I'll politely decline.
When it came to, this season was obviously, not great. Like we can just be honest for Maryland football. How frustrating was it for you to watch, from the sideline? And how much of it did it factor into kind of, I guess like the decision to stay with Maryland, because you did, but and you'll have a chance now to kind of reignite the program, and B, like, what did other coaches then use that as fuel to be like, hey, like, why are you going to a school that's 4-8? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So just take me through this season and how kind of tough it was, I guess, to watch and those,
I
questions
mean,
that.
for me, I'm not like I never put too much expectation on anything really. So I wasn't like, oh, if we don't go, perfect undefeated season, like I'm out because I made my commitment for a reason. Through the good, the bad, thick, the thin, like I'm here. Like this is where I want to be at because I want to help build. And I feel like part of the building is setting the foundation. You can't really build on something that's already done. So we had some struggles this year, and of course, coaches would talk to me after the games and stuff like that, or try to call me up. And me and coach, like he said, we hopped on Zooms every Sunday. We would hop on a Zoom and talk about it and talk about the game, and we would go through the film. And he would let me know, like, why these things are happening, like what the play is, what the defense is running, like what reads we have on this play. And it just allowed me to see, like, it wasn't like we were going out there, we were just getting flat out beat. We're kind of beating ourselves. Like, it's little play penalties, little things like that. Like, you'll turn the ball over. Like, those are things that lose you games, but those are correctable things. It's not like teams out here are just better than us, like, and they're just beating the brakes off of us. That's just not how it was. So that just helped me stay firm. I mean, I was going to be firm anyway, but that just helped reassure me.
When it comes to the commitment, I mean, what did they tell you about the NIL? Like, what's your kind of package plan, I guess, when you get to school? Do you feel good about it? Like, what do you want to see? And what is it right now? Have they told you?
We haven't really talked about it too much because that's not something I'm really, really worried about, to be honest. Like, I want to go there and play football. Like, it's going to be what it's going to be. And no check is like the league check. So that's the ultimate goal at the end of the day is that a rookie contract is different than anything you'll ever touch in college. So I never really worried about it too much. I just want to go there and play football.
Unless you're Bryce Underwood, man, and you get in the numbers people are talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. That he's probably the closest right now to that league check. I know Bryce a little bit just from like being around. He's a cool dude. I'm happy for him. I hope he succeeds.
Did you playing him?
Yeah. It'll be a good game.
Obviously, reaching the NFL is like your number one goal in the end of the day. Why do you think playing for Coach Locksley and at Maryland will make you in the best position to be able to reach the league and play in the NFL at one day?
Coach has coached some of the best guys, to go in the league. The Jalen Hurts, the Tuas, Mac Jones, like those are three dudes that were in one room that all made it, to that ultimate destination, that final goal. And coach knows the game. He's been around the game for a long time as coordinator, as a head coach, as a position coach. He's done it all. So I think I can just kind of trust coach because he's been around it for a minute. Like he knows what he's talking about, and I believe everything he's telling me.
What's the best Locksley and Malik story?
It's a good one. Probably came to my basketball game. Came to a basketball game, and it was like my 1,000-point game. So we played against St. Francis, and I scored like my 1,000-point that game. And he just congratulated me after. That was just like random that he came to. I didn't even know I was near 1,000 points, but I look back on it and I realized like that's when I scored my 1,000-point was at that game.
Is he a vocal fan, or would you say he's a kind of just
He's
sitting?
pretty quiet. Yeah, he's pretty quiet up there, just watching. I've seen him up there, just paying attention to the game. He'll cheer like a little bit, clap when you get a bucket or whatever. But that's really it.
some crazy Locksley recruiting stories on this podcast before, um, including one where he visited Vernon Davis when he was working at a Quiznos to pitch him to come to Maryland. Do you have any like crazy recruiting stories from Locksley where it was just him going above and beyond to get you?
I mean, I think really it's just consistency. Like I said, they came around freshman year, and basically every season, every off season, like as soon as they were allowed to talk to me, like coach was letting me know, like, hey, what's up, how you doing? When the head coaches were allowed to come out and come to schools, like, we were talking to them. And he's just been around for a long time, and that kind of played a part too, because it's like he's believed in me this whole time, and it's not like he just waited to see like, oh, he's doing pretty good. Like now I'm gonna try to go get him. It was early before I really had any success at all, and he's just been around.
Let's talk a little bit about Free Grandma. How did that start? The now viral Maryland hashtag on Twitter.
Yeah, when I was getting close to a commitment, I think I just got back from like the Elite 11, and somebody posted an image of a grandma locked in a cage, and it was like keeping my grandma locked in this cage until Malik commits to Maryland. And after some time went on, and I committed. I went back, found the tweet, quoted the tweet, and just put like hashtag free grandma. And then from there, it just kind of it grew its own wings and did its own thing. Now other recruits were using it. Like we were putting it whenever somebody committed, it was free grandma. We became known as like the free grandma class. And then, hopefully the 26s find their thing. If it's the same thing, that's cool with me. It just kind of took its own wings. And I probably had to explain this so many times when people were like, yeah, is your grandma in jail? And I'm like, my grandma's not in jail. Like it was a whole different thing, but it's pretty cool to see the light that it's kind of took on.
Did you have that tweet ready in your drafts for when you committed to Maryland?
No, it was really after the fact. It kind of popped up. Like me and one of my coaches, Coach Aaron, was talking about it, and I was like, I'm gonna go back and quote the tweet and be like, you can let her go. And he was just like, nah, put something like catchy. And I was like, all right. And I was like, what about grandma's free? He was like, flip it. I was like, free grandma. I was like, that makes sense. He was like, all right. And then we went from there.
Does your grandma? Have you shown any of your grandparents the free grandma?
I've showed her. I don't really think she understands it because she's not a big social media person. So I mean, I've showed her, but I don't think she don't really get it.
My mom was like, because my mom is not like a huge sports fan, but she sometimes will see random stuff. She's like, I hope his grandma's okay. I'm like, nah.
Grandma's not actually in jail. She's at home, living good.
For you and kind of being that almost ringleader, I guess, of kind of this 25 class, how active are you? Like, I know like on Twitter, obviously you're publicly recruiting, but like what goes into kind of the behind the scenes stuff? Like, are you actively DMing guys, or is it more just like letting them come to you and being like, hey, like, what do you think about here? Like, can we play together? Like, do you like how does that kind of work?
It's really a mix of both. Like, there's some guys who I have better relationships with that I know I can text and be like, yo, like, you always got a home here or something like that. Or, I see dudes, jumping in the portal and it's like, hey, man, like, come on back home. Like, guys that are from here. And other people have texted me, like, hey, like, tell coach, holla at me, whatever. Like, I would love to come through. It's really a mix of both. I'm always going to be on it because constantly trying to improve. Like I said, if we keep these guys home, like it would just be a whole different story.
And then, this year, as you kind of get in here with the 25 class, what are your expectations for your year one?
Go in there and really earn the respect of our teammates and of the program. Like as this, freshman class coming in with all this like proverbial weight on our shoulders. Like, people are kind of expecting us to do a whole bunch. I think my message to really the whole 25 class is just don't let the moment like outweigh. Like don't gas up the moment. Like it's gonna be what it is. Like gonna go out there, but at the end of the day, you're just playing football. It's just first and 10. It's just second and 4. Like don't let the moment ever get too big. So it's not really too much of an expectation on us. I think it's more just go out here, earn the respect of our team, earn the respect of the program, earn the respect of the university, and go from there.
What do you think will have to happen in order for you to start like from the jump? Like, what are you going to have to do?
Like I just said, I'm going to have to earn the respect of my teammates first. I feel like nobody wants to follow a guy that they don't have respect for. And as a quarterback, you're the leader of men. People are there, like your team's supposed to follow you, supposed to act how you act. So I think in order to do that, I have to earn the respect of my teammates, be super hard in workouts, give 100%, be in the film room all the time and try to get as much of the offense down as I can as fast as possible and really just go from there.
And then you're early enrolling this next semester. What kind of benefits are you trying to get from coming to campus a semester early and getting some more work in with the guys?
Yeah, just like I said, building that trust. with my teammates, being able to get into the playbook early, start to learn the offense, just so that when spring ball comes around, like I'm more accustomed to it and I can move faster because I'm not thinking as much. I'm just out there playing because I know the stuff like the back of my head.
Technically, like on the field, where do you want to work on the most this offseason? Like, what are you kind of focusing on? Schmidt said he wants to see you, I guess, maybe process zone better was, from what I remember, was what he said. What are you kind of looking to work on?
Yeah, really just the mental side of the game. The physical, it's always going to improve. As you work out, as you train more, like that's going to constantly improve. But that mental side is something I feel like a lot of dudes got to work on, just because it helps slow the game down so much. And the college game is so much faster than the high school game. So any tips and tricks I can use to help slow it down or help ID things and maybe get a beat on coverages or blitzes, that will help me so much, and I can understand the game even better. It allows me to play.
What is that? Is that just watching film? Is that talking with Billy? Like, is that Locksley? Like, what goes into kind of the mental improvements that you have to make?
I think it's a combination of all of it. Like Billy's really smart. He's a really smart quarterback coach. He's been around the game forever. Film doesn't lie. So it's like a combination of the three would help me as much as possible to succeed.
And then, of course, your Spalding teammates, Jaden and Delmar, they're coming to College Park with you. Just kind of what's your excitement level at to be coming along with those guys who you've won championships with and they know you as a teammate and a leader?
Super excited. Super excited for those guys. We all reached this goal together. Couldn't have done it by ourselves. Me and Jaden, we've been in this since freshman year, really just going at it every single day, him being on the defensive side of the ball. And I just know that at the end of the day, no matter what, like I got at least two guys that got my back through whatever, because they've had my back for these past couple years. So I know going in there, like I'm gonna look out for them. They're gonna look out for me, and then I'll just build from there.
Are there any other current commits right now other than those two that you've gotten pretty close with and are excited to be on campus with?
I think most of the class, we have our little class of 25 group chat. So I mean, most of I played youth ball with Iverson, so I know Iverson forever. Same thing with Bud Combs. I played youth ball with him, known him forever. Me and Justin getting pretty close. Amir getting pretty close. Like Sid, I played against. Like we're all pretty close as a class. I would say we all talk almost every day.
You said when you got to Spalding that your ultimate goal, that's kind of who you are as a person, is to go to a program that maybe isn't as good as it was. You know what I mean? I think you said something like build up a program, leave it better than I found it, and kind of leave it for the next guys. For Maryland, you're kind of, like you said, the saving grace, I guess, in a way, after a tough season, and this class particularly. Do you consider that at all? Do you accept that and embrace it? Do you not worry about it? Like, what is that type of pressure, I guess, and how do you handle it?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really pay no mind. Like people say what they want, they talk about how this is really like the make or break year and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, we're playing a game that we all love. So I never really take myself too seriously in that aspect, and I think that helps me when I'm on the field too. That I'm not taking myself too seriously. Like I'm doing what I love, so I'm gonna be out here and give everything I have, and the result will be the result.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mature look to have. And then lastly, for Maryland to get to where you want to go, like, how much are you going to have to be the driving force behind it, I guess? And what do you want to get to with Maryland football? Like, is it a national championship? Is it a Big Ten championship? Like, where's a goal for you?
Really, it's me and Coach are gonna work together. We're gonna be hip to hip, working as hard as possible. And I think the goal for any program is a national championship. But I think it's gonna take time to get there. It's not gonna be we're not gonna win a national championship on August 1st. That's just not how it works. Like you're gonna have to build it up, so you can get to them later stages and start playing your best ball. But you never, like you say, never really win a game in the first quarter. Like it's gonna have to be a constant grind, like pushing through things, like finding your niches and seeing what you don't do well, so that way you can improve on it to get to that ultimate goal in the end.
Malik, we got to get what's the best jersey that Maryland football wears? Which one are you most excited to rock?
I think everybody's gonna say the white one that they wore against Oregon was
all white. Yeah,
that was beautiful with the change in color numbers. That was beautiful.
They told you they're gonna bring that back, or what's the?
I don't know. We're gonna see. I hope so. I mean, I would love to wear it.
Hey, you media trained already. I love it.
All right, Malik. Well, thank you for joining us on Under the Shell, and we look forward to seeing you on the field.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.